The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
All right, Canucks playoff hockey is about to begin, and if you want to make some easy money, I know who's going to score the first goal for the Canucks in the playoffs. It's going to be Vasily Podkolzin.
Damn, I thought you were going to say somebody on your ball hockey team, man.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Hey.
And we're going to break it all down for you on Locked On Canucks. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. Not only another episode, potentially our last episode before Canucks postseason action gets underway. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host Locked On Canucks, also a Canucks writer with Daily High Vancouver. Going to be doing some post-game stuff for the Canucks in the playoffs. Can't wait to do that. But I just love what I'm doing here with Kyle Bowden and Locked On Canucks. Hey, if you haven't done so already, make sure you go subscribe or like or follow the channel. It helps us out a lot. It is Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. Going to have you covered here for what hopefully is a long playoff run. On today's episode, we're going to talk about matches that matter, the biggest storylines from a Canucks perspective in this series, and touch on some other news and notes, and have some fun, man, because the sun is shining. I almost want to crack a beer here at 8:30 in the morning, but I digress. I'll have some coffee instead. So much to talk about this series, Canucks and Predators. Before we get into all of it, I got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store and Google Play. All right, let's get into it. And before we do that, let me introduce my co-host, someone who, oh my God, man, I guess I'm so stoked that I'm doing this with you. Kyle Bowden, my brother. How you doing, buddy?
Damn, you could just say you love me, man. I know you choked up there, man. You're going to say it, but you have to say something else. Trevor, it's okay, guy. It's 2024. We're allowed to be a little sensitive, okay, and a little vulnerable. Anyways, I love the Vancouver Canucks. I've always loved the Vancouver Canucks. And I think I'm going to love them on a new level come Sunday, because it's like, for all the reasons it's gonna feel the same. It's also going to feel different / very new / very exciting, okay? It's going to feel honeymoon-like. It really is. Sunday, okay? The Nashville Predators here on the west coast of Canada playing your Vancouver Canucks game 1 at Rogers Arena. And once again, Vancouver is Vancouver again, and you are you again as well. Man, oh man. Trevor, dude, we made it. We made it. Now, speaking of making it, Trevor also won a ball hockey game last night, okay? That is impressive stuff, man. Congratulations to you. I know you've been waiting for that one, right? Straight up.
Yeah.
It was a big deal for you.
Yeah, no, team had played well, but we were lacking some saves, but we got them last night, and not my best performance. Yesterday I was running on 3 hours sleep, busy day. It's not my best performance, but the team won. That's all that matters, and that's got to be what matters for your Vancouver Canucks as well, right? So I hope I think about Elias Pettersson. I thought about him last night, right? I'm sure this guy's kicking himself for playing bad games, but I hope he can, remove the individual stuff, which is tough to do. I know if you're a hyper-competitive athlete, you're going to be critical on yourself, but hopefully he just shows up. But it's got to be with the team first. The team first. Don't worry about points. Points don't matter. Statistics don't matter. What matters is the team. Now, Kyle, when I think about this series, though, it is about the team, but there's also some individual battles that I'm really curious to check out. And, we didn't really discuss it beforehand, but you put JT Miller and Ryan O'Reilly in the headline for this photo on YouTube. That to me is one of the key matchups in this series, because you have Ryan O'Reilly, again, kind of turning back the clock. He's been amazing this season, a nice 69 points, and he's been lethal in the playoffs, 49 points in 51 playoff games, won the Conn Smythe. He was good in that series against the Canucks too back in 2020. He'll likely match up against JT Miller's line, especially here on for the games at Rogers Arena. Now, I like that match from a Canucks perspective a lot, but I think you have two players who are very similar, and I think obviously the Canucks have the better one of those two players in JT Miller.
Damn. The better one out of both players, of course. That's the case. JT Miller, one of the best players in hockey, been one of the best players in hockey for a couple of years. Hey, a couple of years ago, you could say the same about Ryan O'Reilly. Now, I got to be honest, with you and you and you and you. I've only watched Ryan O'Reilly play, 2 games this year? 3 games this year? I can't say he's that player right now, but you brought it up, 69 points playing on a productive line, playing on a team that won a lot of games down the stretch. And the last time we played Ryan O'Reilly in the playoffs, I feel as if that was like peak Ryan O'Reilly. The year before, he wins the cup, he wins the Conn Smythe. I think he played pretty well against us as well in the bubble playoffs. I guess what I'm trying to say is this guy loves playoff hockey. He really does. And another guy who does is our guy, JT Miller. It feels as if he was born to do this. And I think there's a lot of variables here, okay, going on for JT Miller and his mindset and what he wants to accomplish come playoff time. Okay, look at his playoff numbers outside the bubble. Not that impressive, right? Let's be honest. Let's be real. Also, look at the facts, right? Out of any player in the NHL who badly wants a cup, how could it not be JT Miller? This guy leaves Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay builds a dynasty. His thirst for success, come April, come May, come June, again, is second to none across anyone in this league. And I've said it so many times, and I mean it. It's not me flabbergasting. It's not me being Kyle Bowen and just talking a lot of yap. It's me telling the truth. I look at that guy's face. I look at the way he plays. I believe that this team's going to have a long playoff run. And how can I not believe that JT Miller is going to become one of the faces of the NHL?
It's about damn time for JT Miller. And again, we talked about on the show before, every Darius know he might be the most unlikely player in the past 30 years to hit 100 points. And it's not necessarily a knock on JT Miller. It's just that it's really damn hard to get 100 points in the NHL. And JT Miller did that this season.
Especially at 31, dude. Considering like people balled in, people like, what I'm saying? Like, it's erectile dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? You go through a lot when you get older, man. Your back starts hurting.
Yeah. There's no way JT Miller's got erectile dysfunction, man. That guy's rock hard 24/7. It's funny. This just popped in my head too, and we talked about it a bit yesterday, but this really is a series full of guys who have turned back the clock a little bit, especially on Nashville's side, right? We talked about it yesterday. Gustav Nyquist heading 73 points at age 34 in his 13th NHL season, a career high.
Wow.
Ryan O'Reilly, Ryan McDonough, both 33, 34, still doing their thing. McDonough's actually going to be 35 in July. Luke Shen, still a good player for the Nashville Predators. And then you look at, again, on our side, JT Miller, and specifically some of the guys in the Canucks defense. I think Tyler Myers has had his best season as a Vancouver Canuck in year 5 in this market. Ian Cole slipped down the stretch, but that's another guy with some miles on the playoff odometer who's been a contributor for the Canucks as well. So some of the old guys are going to get done. Let's talk about two of the oldest guys, though. And they aren't on the ice, but they're behind the bench. And to me, this is a really interesting matchup between Andrew Burnett and Rick Tocchet, because these two teams play pretty different styles. And I think with Andrew Burnett, one of the interesting things is, he was a head coach of Florida. They had all that regular season success. And then it didn't quite work at the playoffs, and they got rid of him. And I think a lot of people were surprised. But Andrew Burnett's teams don't necessarily play super tight defense. They play pretty high event hockey. You look at the Nashville Predators, they have more expected goals for and more expected goals against. They're a higher event team than the Vancouver Canucks. Now, come playoff time, we talk about defense mattering. And, you look at the Canucks, they've been one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. So I'm curious if Andrew Burnett's kind of scoring chance by quantity style is going to have success. I guess we're talking the Vancouver Canucks. And I got to say, this is another matchup where, cautious optimism, lots of scar tissue in this market, but I like the Canucks style versus the Nashville Predators here. I like Rick Tocchet's style over Andrew Burnett's for playoffs.
And if Nashville wants to open it up and play loosey-goosey, I'm not saying the Canucks can do the same or have to do the same or can match it, but what they can do is be the better structured team and keep up the pace with the offense, how the game is flowing. Again, offensively, I think the Vancouver Canucks have a lot of skill on their team, especially in the top end. And if their instincts are telling them that the other team is playing free-flowing and this is going back and forth, their creativeness is going to tap in, and that free-flowing style is also going to take place with the team in blue and green. And I think there's been moments this year, especially in October and November, and that spurt in January, where we saw the Vancouver Canucks look absolutely fine, absolutely sexy playing the game of hockey the offensive way. I guess what I'm trying to say, the Canucks can do both. And that's why I say this too. I don't know if the series is going to be easy, but there is a lane here for the Canucks to win this in 5 games. Because I don't see the matchup and the play style, and I've seen some of the fancy stats around Andrew Brunette's team, and the real stat about his lack of success in the playoffs and how much it has to do with this Bruce Boudreau type of hockey. But I think that the Canucks are the wrong team to try that against because they're pretty good defensively. They're pretty rock solid. And if you want to play that game with us, we'll play it right back and be better at you at it.
Yeah, straight up. No, Kyle, we'll give our predictions at the end of the show. But again, I think I talked about yesterday. My big point of yesterday's episode was do not discount the Nashville Predators because they're probably better than you think. That being said, you look at the Canucks, they probably have the advantage at forward. They probably have the advantage on defense. They probably have the advantage in net. There's a path on them to sweep this series. Never mind 5 games. I'm not going to predict that, but there's a path to that as well.
First time back in the playoffs, the sun is shining, the barbecue is going to be on. We're feeling childish again, right? When you're a child and you're a Canucks fan, you feel like you're going 82-0. You feel like you're going 16-0 in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? And look at Trevor Beggs right here, man. We're going to sweep you in 3 games, a.k.a. 4. This thing is over. Hey, speaking of which, you know what I did last night? I watched highlights from round 1 of 2011 against Chicago. And yeah, being up 3-0 and blowing that was definitely still to this day the most stressful time in my life. And again, for the second time this week, I dated a girl for 5 years and she left me for a girl. And here I am saying that hockey was the thing that cost me the most angst and trauma in my life, and specifically that moment.
Yeah, but that's why we're all here, right? You and me, and you and you and you and you. That's why we're all here because you want to get the heart racing. You want to be there for those big moments, and it was a very stressful time. But Kyle, I've said this before to you and probably on this show, but I'm not much of a crier. But one of the few times I've cried in my life was when Burrow scored that Game 7 goal. So that's the moments that we live for, man. Let's keep talking about the series on the other side. I want to touch on some of the big storylines that matter for the Vancouver Canucks, and there's one other matchup I want to get to as well. So let's keep talking about it, man. Again, our last show before the playoffs start for your Vancouver Canucks. Let's go, baby. Let's go to the other side after shouting at our friends over at Policy Genius. All right. Policy Genius, they are the country's leading online insurance marketplace. They save you time and money so you can provide your family with financial safety starting today. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. You heard it here. No finger up the bum when you use Policy Genius. Whoa. Policy helps you compare your options from top companies and their team of licensed experts. They are on hand to help talk you through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Your work life insurance policy may not be enough to cover what your family needs. Yeah, that's why my wife's telling me to take out the big old policy, okay? Because right now, if I pass away, she ain't getting much, okay? And even worse, that policy that might not come with you if you leave your job. So got to make sure you're covered. Policy Genius, they give you unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over the other, so you can trust their guidance. They have thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fit for their needs. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's Policy Genius. Locked on NHL.
People, we back doing this, talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. And once again, you are on Locked On Canucks, one left of the Don't Doze Art Lab, for giving us a space to produce this show, okay? For real. Making it happen because the West Coast bias, it matters, man. You got to look after the neighbors before you look after the world. And speaking of the neighbors, I was at a beer pong tournament last night. I played some music. More importantly, I entered a beer pong tournament at the age of 30 and a half years old and got eliminated in the first round alongside a partner who's also in his 30s as well. So it's it's in moments like that, you question where your life is going, right? That you look at your surroundings and you're like, yo, am I at the right place in life? You start doing those things. And then I quickly realized that, yeah, I am. Okay. Because life's not all about winning, it's about being resilient. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't win it all. That being said,
Wow.
Trevor Beggs saying that we're going to sweep the Vancouver Canucks. That's something else. Now look at Colin,
The Nashville
okay?
Predators. Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, the Nashville Predators, okay?
Yeah.
You should have beat me right there, okay? We're going to sweep the Nashville Predators. That came from Trevor Beggs' mouth. And look at this from Colin, right? The Canucks in 6. I said the Canucks in 5. There were people in the comments yesterday saying that this series is not going to be easy. It could be all over the place because rightfully so, we have to realize that the Canucks haven't done this yet. You know what I'm saying? And hockey is so different. And that is why we're so excited to see again hockey in the playoffs.
Straight up, man. And, one thing I'm really excited to see in the playoffs is the best defenseman in the NHL go against the second best defenseman in the NHL. So a little disrespect to Cale
Ooh.
Makar there. But to me, that's one of the other big matchups that matters. Which defenseman is going to be more impactful in the series? And again, this is something, an area where I'd put my money on Quinn Hughes. It's interesting. I'm not going to call it our friends at The Athletic, but at The Athletic in their playoff preview, they actually have Roman Josi with the bigger net rating. So taking offensive and defensive contributions. Basically, the Athletic saying Roman Josi is better than Quinn Hughes. So the Athletic, again, man, come on. Get your heads out of your ass, man. Maybe I'm disrespecting a bit, but again, we're going to see two of the best defensemen in hockey go head to head. And again, Roman Josi is an absolute beast out there. He's got the experience. He's been there before. Interesting, when you look at the Predators, when they had their 2017 run to the Cup Finals, their top 2 leading scorers in that run were Fleet Forsberg and Roman Josi, who, lo and behold, 7 years later are still the core of this team and still performing at an elite level. But then you got Quinn Hughes, man, who became the first defenseman in Canucks history to lead the league in defenseman point scoring. Man, oh man, I can't wait to see what Quinn Hughes does in the playoffs.
Well, you do know that the Vancouver Canucks know everything about Roman Josi. I mean, think about Nikita Zadorov, right? His favorite player of all time is Roman Josi. I'm paraphrasing just a bit, but when he was asked about Josi earlier in the season, I think he actually did say that he was the best defenseman in hockey, which again is actually not a crazy thing to say. This guy's been really good for a long time. And what was the saying we said a couple weeks ago when we teed up this matchup beforehand? It was this, right? Erik Karlsson put up 100 points, but a couple years ago, Roman Josi was at 90 plus, and I feel as if nobody really talked about it, or people talked about it, but nobody keeps bringing it up. Because if you're doing that, then doing it not to that capacity again, but he's still always like a 70, 80 point defenseman. Then this year, he's almost to 90. He's just too good. He's too good, and we're gonna get a front row seat to Roman Josi just doing his thing. And it's interesting to look back at the the history of not only the series between the Nashville Predators and the Vancouver Canucks, or this this playoff matchup, but to individually just look at some of the defensemen that they've had over the last 13 years. It really allows you to understand the obsession that we have with Quinn Hughes. Because these guys had Suter, Weber, then Josi, and in 50 years, we had number 2 defenseman, number 3 defenseman after number 2 defenseman after number 3 defenseman for 50 plus years until we got Quinn Hughes. Crazy.
Yeah, and I do think Quinn Hughes is going to be on a mission in these playoffs. I mean, Roman Josi, again, he's been there. He's got the experience. You can't discount that. And this national team has way more experience in the postseason than the Vancouver Canucks. And I do think that means something. I don't know how much is going to factor in, but again, that's why I'm not going to come on here and say the Canucks are going to sweep the Preds. Oh, did I already say that? No. Anyway, I digress. But again, I do think there's another level to Quinn Hughes here in the playoffs. And I know everydayers know we've talked about it before, but this guy is probably going to play a couple more minutes tonight, regardless. Not to mention, I just think that he's just got ice in his veins, and he's just on a Quinn.
He's on a heater. Yeah. He's on a heater, man. You know what? If you look at what he's even been doing in his last 10 games, the aggressiveness that he's playing with, and I'm not talking physically, I'm just talking his mindset with the puck. It kind of reminds you of what this guy was doing in October and November. In totality, what I'm trying to say is, he's playing at his best right now. And now we're going to see him play 5 minutes more per game. Maybe. I'm not even being crazy with that. Like, he might play 30 minutes a game. And if he does that, that means he has the puck more. That means he's making plays more. That means he's on the ice for half the game. Bro, we've said it before, right? This guy kind of reminds you of not just Cale Makar, but a Connor McDavid-esque dominance when it comes to puck possession in a game. It seems to be always on this guy's stick. And that bodes well, obviously, for your Vancouver Canucks. I do agree with you. I think we're about to see the best version of him. And this is why we've also been saying that the journey to the Conn Smythe for Quinn Hughes, it starts now. It really does.
The journey starts now, and it's hopefully it's a long journey for your Vancouver Canucks. And Kyle, I hope we're doing this here in June, talking about a Stanley Cup final. Maybe we're doing a live show from the Rogers Plaza, man. Let's go, baby.
Holy, you're dreaming big, man. Or from Tap House, or Boston Pizza, or a Donaire shop. That'd be kind of cool. Donaire affair.
Shout out,
or a strip club.
Surrey.
We can go to Number 5 Orange and do a live show there. Like, the Number 5 Orange powers all the post game shows for Sportsnet. So,
there you go, man. Dream
big.
There
you go, buddy.
Dream big. And I'm dreaming big as well about Thatcher Demko really hitting his form. But for me, when we talk about biggest storylines, and that's more so from a Canuck perspective, but I'll tie Nashville in here too. I do wonder if either of these goalies are going to show, or which goalie is going to slip up first, if either of them, because you have Thatcher Demko, who had 6 weeks off. He's played 2 games now. And, I don't want to talk too much about the Winnipeg game last night because I don't think that game really mattered too much. It was a little shitty game for Demko. But you have Demko again, who's coming off an injury. He hasn't played much. He's played 2 games. And then you have Jussi Saros, who has played the most hockey of any goaltender in the NHL, not just this season, but over the past 3 seasons. I do wonder if one of those 2 factors is going to come to fruition in this series, or if we're just going to see some epic goaltending battle.
Yeah, and if you bring all that up and talk about the date in which game 1 is being played at, I think it becomes more fascinating, right? Like, I think the Canucks, well, there's some fans out there who believe that Sunday is not a long enough break for the Vancouver Canucks, right? Like, they just finished their regular season. Now they only get 2 days off before they play game 1 of the playoffs, where Nashville had 6 days off. Give us a break. But at the same time, it's probably best for Demko to just keep this going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just the truth. And I think that's another sign from the hockey gods that this is our year. I believe in Demko, man. I think Demko is going to have a rock solid series. I think he's going to. Is this jinxing it? Because this is a powerful statement, right? I think he's going to tap back into bubble Demko. I think he's so serious. I think he's too cool. I think he's too calm. He's too collected. I know he's been rehabbing hard, but essentially this guy just had a month off too. I think there's a recipe here for Thatcher Demko to put the whole league on notice, to use this performance as a springboard to not only a Stanley Cup, but to be the goaltender for the NHL, the Olympics in a couple of years. Like, I think he puts himself into that top tier territory because he wants to get there. And what gets you there is a long playoff run. We've seen it before. Thatcher Demko, sorry to cut you off. Bubble Demko. Canucks fans, we've seen it. I know it was for 3 games, 4 games, whatever the number was, but that was some of the best athletic performance, not only from a Vancouver Canucks player of all time, but in sport. He was on one, and I think there's a chance he could do that again.
Yeah.
Oh, Trevor's cutting out. Cutting out.
All right.
Are you back?
One of the other things that I'm thinking. Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm back. Sorry, I'm doing some research in the background here. I'll touch quickly on it. Some of the other big storylines for me, like, really, it's twofold. So I'll lump them together. But can the Canucks power play figure things out against against the Nashville Predators penalty kill? That's not great. They're in the bottom half of the league. Again, I mentioned this in a little piece for Daily Hive, but the Canucks power play since the All-Star break, 25th in the NHL. Nashville's power play since the All-Star break is 2nd overall in the NHL. So, again, I'm focusing more on the Canucks power play here because, obviously, Kyle, we know they have the horses to figure it out. And on top of that, to me, the 2 of the big storylines for the Canucks are, is their power play going to have an impact, or they're going to suck momentum, one or the other? And is Elias Pettersson finally going to, get closer to the player that we know that he is? Those are 2 huge things for the Canucks in this series.
What's that saying? written from the manual. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Right. That's the question, right? You can kind of relate that to the Canucks power play. It has so much to do with Pettersson's swagger, where he's at in his confidence, where he's at in his efficiency, where he's at in his feel for the game. Because right now, and again, I know yesterday didn't matter. I'm not going to dig too deep into yesterday, but right now we're seeing a guy who through 32 games, 33 games has like 26 or 27 points. He's playing 2 or 3 tiers below what he was doing last year consistently. He went from 102 points to 89 points. You know what I'm saying? And all rightfully so. Like he's not even getting the chances. He's not even making things happen, shift in and shift out consistently. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even just about the power play and it relating to Pettersson's success and his swagger. It's this whole team's success. Now, I think they can get by Nashville without Pettersson. I really do, because this team's pretty stacked top heavy. It's just the truth. And that's not even a slight to Nashville. It's just look at the team. Okay. Do some research on our roster. But moving forward, if Pettersson doesn't get back to even that 100-point player last year in the way he was feeling the game, the Canucks are not getting past round 2. It's just the truth.
Yeah, I'll say this though, and I agree with you, Kyle. But I do think there's a path for Pettersson to really break out in this series, and I'll throw one stat here, and then we'll get to break. We'll talk about a bit about the Podkolzin signing and give our predictions for the series on the other side, our legit predictions.
I'm going to ask you about the Pettersson path though on the other side. I need you to break it down for me. Okay,
that sounds good. But I'll bring up this one stat here. So Pettersson has scored at least 10 goals against 4 different NHL teams. They are the Calgary Flames, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Ottawa Senators, and the Nashville Predators.
Ooh.
Pettersson has 10 goals and 18 points in 15 career games against the Nashville Predators. So he's had some past success against them. If there's a time for him to break out, it's against this Predators team. Let's go. I do believe in Elias Pettersson to finally figure it out. I know it sounds dramatic. He was still around top 20 in points this season, but we know there's another level there. There's another level here in terms of us wrapping up the show. Level 3, segment 3 on the other side. Before we do that, let's shout out our friends over at Monopoly Go. I've been told I'm a competitive person, okay? And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard it. Monopoly Go, it's been downloaded over 150 million times. That's the amount of times Kyle gets stiff in a day when he talks about Vancouver Canucks. You know, this is a great twist on Monopoly where you can play it on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, build up amazing cities, and they bring you the big money. But the best part is messing with my friends. I could charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. But I could also heist their vaults of riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in time tournaments and earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play.
Boom, bam. Shout out to Monopoly. Okay, we back doing this, talking about your Vancouver Canucks here at the Don't Doze Art Lab and on Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. Hey, everyone, smash that like button, okay? Like Andrew was letting you know in the comments, the live chat, smash the like button. If this video gets more than 19 likes or 91 likes, the Canucks will win this series in 3 games, okay? What? Why are you laughing, man?
Well, 19 to 91, there's a big divergence there.
Hey, man, it doesn't matter, man. You know, 1 like is enough, man. And Trevor, I actually mean this, man. I'm not saying we're living in a simulation. I'm not going to go down that route, okay? But I've been reading a lot of Deepak Chopra, and I'm quickly realizing day in and day out, and I've kind of been like this my whole life, that it's not about us, okay? It's really not about you. It's not about me. It's not about Locked On Canucks. It literally is about you and you and you and you, and more notably, the Vancouver Canucks. Like that organization, because they've kind of put us in this position. And I can't believe we're here, because 12 months ago, if you look at the footage, I'm pretty sure me and Trevor were running a I almost swore there. I might have swore there. We were running a simulator, right? Like the tankathon,
Yeah.
and we might have actually landed on first playing the
Yeah, we
draft
did.
lottery simulator. And bro, I was going nuts. That was one of the greatest moments in my sport life over the last 5 years, winning an online draft simulator.
Yeah, that was a good moment live on the show here. Check out the footage from April last year. Yeah, I remember watching the draft lottery with my daughter. And I'm like, this is going to be the greatest moment of my daughter's life. The Canucks winning the lottery for Bedard. And of course, it
Yeah.
did not happen, but it don't matter because your Canucks are in the dance now. Again, like I said this back in August, I thought the Canucks were going to be a playoff team. I did think they were going to be a wild card team. So the fact that they're here is pretty phenomenal. And the fact that both teams are here is pretty unreal. Again, two teams that were
Mhm.
widely considered to have missed the playoffs. But here we are. Now let's touch on quickly about one guy who might have an impact on this series, but it's right now he's certainly not one of the marquee names. Is Vasily Podkolzin. He re-signs with the Vancouver Canucks a 2-year extension worth $1 million per season. Kyle, your thoughts on the extension, and do you think Podkolzin is going to have an impact on the series, though?
I think the obvious comparison when it comes to a contract like this is the one to Niels Höglander. Maybe over the next 2 years, we get a lot out of a different, more mature Podkolzin. And that's not a knock on his maturity in the past. He's always been solid and hockey focused, always been a favorite in that room. But how can I not believe that there's more tiers to his game coming up, whether that be in the near future in the playoffs or next season? When he had the interview he had last night, I felt as if I was just absorbed by everything he was saying, the attitude he was giving out to the reporters after he signed that 2-year deal. He just he just let me know like he's just down for the cause. He's down to be a Vancouver Canuck. Speaking of which, again, 8 months ago, 7 months ago, this guy gets sent down, whatever the numbers are, and I'm just poo-pooing on him. I've lost hope for this guy because he looks so bad. He looks so like, I shouldn't, this guy's so young and I'm poo-pooing on him. I'm 30 and a half years old. I'm saying, yo, this guy's done. This guy's lost his job. He's done. But it was kind of rightfully so because of, again, how bad he was in Victoria and in the preseason. And look what happened this season. He's ripping it up in the AHL, and he kind of suffers this really dangerous injury. It's really scary. I'm pretty sure it had a lot to do with the head. And what does he do? Fast forward all the way back to now. He works his ass off, gets called up. And when he gets called up, the role that he's maybe asked to play or knows he has to play is one of only physicality and bringing a lot of it. And again, this is a guy who suffered a head injury all those months ago. Again, everything is telling me right now is telling me that Podkolzin is down for the cause. He's just a Vancouver Canuck, and I got to ride for guys like that, for real. I got to apologize to Podkolzin. You proved me wrong, and I just wish you nothing but the best because you are looking out for the best interest of our team, and I mess with that.
Yeah, and with Podkolzin, I think there's another level offensively. We've seen this guy with the puck. I mean, he can make plays. He's got a great shot. He just hasn't found the ability to get open really this season at the NHL level. But the details in this game are good, and I think this is going to be a physical series. Again, the Canucks 4th in hits this season, Nashville 5th in hits. Podkolzin on a per 60 basis is one of the most frequent hitters on the Vancouver Canucks. So I want to say I like to think that Podkolzin is going to chip in offensively at some point with a goal or a nice play, but I think his biggest impact will be his defensive game and his physicality in this series. Now, Kyle, before we wrap up the show, let's give our predictions for this series officially. I'll go first. I'm going to say I think the Canucks are going to win this in 6. I said it yesterday. I don't think it's going to be an easy series. I don't think they're going to go and sweep the Nashville Predators. I mean, the Predators they got good players. They got experience. They got guys who have been there before. But at the end of the day, this Canucks team is better at every single position. And if they hit on their potential and play the way that they do under Rick Tocchet, and I think they will, they're going to win this series in 6 games or less.
6 games or less, maybe in 3. Yeah, I could definitely see this series end in 5 games if Pettersson wakes up offensively. Now, I will ask you again before we get out of here. Where do you see this path of Pettersson finding his success outside of the fact that he scored a lot of goals in Nashville? Like, what are you seeing in his game? But before you do that, let's note this, right? It's game 82, and Pettersson's been struggling, and a lot of us, haven't heard the confirmation or have gotten close to it. But assumed that this guy was injured. But then it's game 82 against the Winnipeg Jets in a meaningless game. He plays. So I'm pretty sure this guy is fairly close to being really healthy, whatever that means after playing an 82-game season in the NHL. So I think with that being known now, I'm going to use that as juice as saying that, yeah, with the crowd, with the noise, with Vancouver feeling different on Sunday, it'll wake them up. Because it's not the body. It's not the injury. It's just the confidence. It's the swagger. It really is. But the Vancouver, the people, the neighborhood will take care of that guy, and he'll feel like himself very, very soon.
Yeah, and this is just me spitballing, but not that I've been around the rink a ton, but when I've been around the rink, I've noticed Pettersson as being as a guy who's on his phone quite a bit, and I know teammates have kind of chirped him. Just Pettersson, tune out the noise, man. It don't matter. There are a lot of haters in this market who have been criticizing Pettersson, but the guy's got game, and we all know it. And the time to find your game, if at any time, is in the NHL playoffs. And I have said it before. I think this guy, is one of the hardest workers on the team, one of the biggest competitors on this team. That's why he's one of the best players in the NHL, and I truly believe he's going to find his footing at some point in the series.
Getting me excited. You're getting me excited because you're right, man. Prior to whatever this was, there was that other stretch of hockey like a couple years ago where he was kind of struggling. But outside of those two instances, again, his work rate, unreal. Winning board battles, doing his thing, being in every single battle, getting the puck. And right now, again, the swagger's not there. Maybe you're right, man. Just stay off the phone. Everyone stay off your phone. If you're going to this weekend, just don't go on your phone, okay? Until Sunday. When you want to talk in the Discord during the game day thread, okay? Or game time thread. Anyways, that Discord link is in the bio below. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen. We barely got to the comments today because me and Trevor are just excited, man. We got selfish here. A lot of love for Big Z in the comments. Someone, Infamous, predicted a 5-game series win for the Vancouver Canucks. All in all, go Canucks go. I'm excited. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow on the stream as well. Beggsy, I'm proud of you, man. We did it, man. We went through 82 games. We didn't even talk about us. Screw us, okay? Go Canucks go. Trevor, sign us out.
Hey, shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners, first-time listeners, new subscribers, and those of you who joined us on the live YouTube show. We love each and every one of you, your families, and your dogs too. The everydayers, you guys are true beauties. And if you're a first-time listener just joining us, buckle up. We're going to be here all playoffs long. And hey, it's Locked On Canucks, your team every day. We're going to be here every day for the rest of eternity talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Kind of like Kyle said, it's your team every day. So who knows? Maybe there'll be an episode tomorrow, but the games start to matter on Sunday. Okay. We'll have you covered for each and every Canucks playoff game and then some. Locked On Canucks. But let's get out of here for now. Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy the weekend. Go Canucks, go. Crack a beer for the boys. Let's get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bowen. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.